Well, welcome to this first look at a mod preview of mods that I am creating and submitting to ModHub. I am doing a few little side projects for a couple of internal works for friends, for myself, and I figured if these can meet the criteria for ModHub, why not upload them and give it a try. So we are using a lot of base game material because it is available to utilize, and at the minute my Blender and modding skill is limited. My knowledge of XML is a lot better than my knowledge of modeling. So we are starting with the basics, but ultimately behind me we have this, which is a production, that is a production, and then over in the distance we have another one which we'll go to shortly. So the base behind this production, which is a pack, is these are a wood chip processing plant. So you put wood chips in here, you get refined wood chips out, and then the refined wood chips you can then further get transferred into here, which will then make sawdust. The sawdust, the function is ideally, at the minute, just to be sold, but the premise is that it can be used as a fuel source or as animal bedding. That is the long-term principle, which I am working on further. And in link to that, this is the outcome of what the fuel source will be eventually, which is some kind of briquettes that you burn to produce heat and then to power whatever you want to power. Like I said, these are the long-term futures, not what's currently active. So I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to turn on the production. I've turned off my triggers and I didn't know where they were. So that's turned on. You get wood chips in, you get a bit of sawdust out as well as the refined wood chips. It's 1,000 in and 1,000 out with 100 sawdust currently. That is a slight faux pas on my part. I am planning to reduce the 1,000 refined wood chips to 900, so it balances out at 1,000. But at the minute, this is the one that has actually gone up to Giants, so I'm leaving it in for this review. We'll skip time ahead. So, time skipped now, we have pallets of refined sawdust and pallets of sawdust. Sawdust is liftable by standard. The pallets of refined wood chips are currently not. The refined wood chips are slightly different texture. It is more fine than wood chips and lighter. And the sawdust we have there, which is currently as animal bedding or fuel source, marked up accordingly. I'll then turn super strength on just so I can put these wood chips into this production point. You don't need as many as that. And then this one we will turn on. However, ideally all it's going to do is spawn out these pallets here. So the recipe for this one, 1,000 refined wood chips in gets you 2,000 sawdust out. So it does double the outcome, but the idea is it's more of a powdered refined material, so you can get more of that out. That is the principle behind this one. Value wise, refined wood chips do sell higher than wood chips, and sawdust is slightly lower than refined wood chips. However, because you get double the amount when you further refine them here, it works out to be a higher value. So gradually, wood chips, refined wood chips, and then ultimately sawdust would give you a greater, higher return for your effort in producing the products. Yeah. Anyone who's watching this and want to give me a few thoughts on what you think about it, whether it's a positive thing, a negative, whether you want anything further to improve on it. Like I said, I am adding to this to bring in like a fuel production to make those briquettes. I haven't quite factored in how to do that fully, which is why it's not gone up to ModHub, but that is my long-term goal with this particular pack. It is going to be aimed towards wood chips, forestry, stuff around that. Now, over here, we have another production which I have done for another modded map. If it gets released, then it can be utilised across the board. The map, we're not sure where that's going to get released. It will be PC only if it does, because it's a 4X map. But ultimately, we have a potato stroke corn chip processing plant based on the potato plant that you can get on one of the base game maps. Only slight difference is we have a variety of different flavoured crisps. So we have two varieties. We have corn chips and potato chips. We have plain, tomato, spicy, cheese and onion. And with that, the recipes are as follows. So inputs: canola oil, cheese, chili peppers, corn, garlic, potatoes, spring onion and tomatoes, which will make up your flavouring and the actual base product of either corn or potato. The output, in this case for cheese and onion, it is 300 times corn, 5 canola, 10 cheese, 10 spring onion, gives you 30 cheese and onion crisps. The potato equivalent is the same, bar 100 potatoes. The reduction in potatoes is because they are a lot harder to harvest than corn is, so it was reasonable to do that. The recipes for the most part for the corn and potato remains the same, as does the oil. The only difference now is the flavouring, if there is any. So for salted corn chips and potato chips, there is no additional inputs, just corn, potato and oil. The spicy one, you get 10 chili peppers and 10 garlic, and tomato, you add in tomato. Yeah, turnaround for that is pretty good. And the value of the items, go down this list. We have corn chips, lowest price 2,300, highest price 7,600. In comparison to potato chips, which is the base game content, 4,500. So you get a bit of an extra return on them, but you're putting more effort into them. Sawdust, like I say, lowest point 700, highest is 2,200. Refined wood chips, lowest is 1,000, highest is 3,500. But like I said, if you're doing the sawdust, you get double the value of sawdust, which would then make that equivalent to 1,400 and about 4,500. So you're getting a higher return that way. Salted corn chips and tomato corn chips are 3,000 lowest, 4,500 highest, and the spicy one is the same as the cheese and onion, 2,300, highest 7,600. And then refined wood chips is the last thing to look for, which I believe I've missed because it's up near the R's. There we go. Oh, I didn't miss it, I did discuss it. Apologies. So, that is all the products and outputs that have been added in with these mods. This production has not been sent to Giants as yet. It is still being tweaked, partly down to the output and turnaround. Yeah, that is a very short, quick overview on a couple of mods that I'm hoping to get released out. Ideally, I'd like these all to be cross-platform. I have no reason why they shouldn't be. We haven't used any brands, we haven't used any material that would restrict on console. So that should allow it to be a cross-platform mod. So yeah, for those who have been watching this very quick overview today, thank you very much. Leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Bye for now.